What is up, Scar Knight, bringing you a new Pokemon Sun and Moon update. Sorry again, I cannot say sorry enough that I'm very behind, but I'm gonna make it up to you guys, I promise. So, for right now, the last two parts, I introduced the new Pokemon from the last time I said anything to this point right now for where I'm posting this video. Hopefully no new Pokemon came out overnight, or else I'll be very sad. Either way though, I introduced the new Pokemon up to this point, and I introduced all the new features up to this point as well. So there's something I did forget to mention that I just remembered, is that the Battle Royale place has location with a Machamp figurine and a Hariyama figurine, and Machamp is just standing aside, and then you go inside, that's where the Battle Royale is. I mean, I did mention the Battle Royale in the last episode, but I really didn't emphasize anything about the Battle Royale. So either way though, I guess I never mentioned about the Z moves that all the Pokemon are still in their primary stage, or their basic stage, I suppose. Like Gladion, he's able to use like a Blast Burn move like Inferno Overdrive. So you do get this early on. The only concern is, of course, most likely you'll only be able to use it once, but I'm pretty sure that's all you need, if you have a very intense move, because people are going to be spamming the heck out of that move, let's just be honest. Either way though, in this episode we are going to introduce the new forms of Pokemon, specifically Alolan forms, and there's something more about it towards the end of the video that I'll cover. As of right now, let's get started with everybody's favorite eggs tree Pokemon, Exeggutor. Now, Execute is a grass psychic type. Exeggutor is a grass psychic type, and the president's favorite Pokemon. For whatever reason, everybody's saying that he pushed for the idea of a secondary form, which is an Alolan Exeggutor. He is grass dragon type. He is probably, he has the biggest growth spurt out of all the Pokemon besides Wailord to Wailord. I don't know if that's really what it is, but 30 feet precisely, with the long neck, and his tail has an extra head, and for some reason it's strangely fitting, only because, if it wasn't a tree, if it has like actual scales, the long neck really benefits for the dragon. And I don't know, it has a derpy face, so I guess it works. It's a grass dragon type, so it is still, it's quad weak to ice. First off, that's something I just realized. And it's on the t-shirt of Dexio, so Dexio's a fan. He approves. That's really good. And it makes it seem like the Alolan people really are proud, and they're kind of like braggy in a way that, I almost said Mega Exeggutor, but Exeggutor Alolan forms the true form of the Exeggutor, because, I kind of agree, because it's kind of awkward that a fat tree would be the primary form, but this is the true form. The palm tree has had his real red oak sequoia look to it, so I would be proud too if I had a Pokemon that showed its true form in my hometown or something like that. That's really cool of it. So Alolan Exeggutor, all these Alolan form Pokemon that I will be saying will have something to it, that some habitats have changed about some Pokemon. So, like, for example, it's not the only Pokemon that changed because of the environment. They did it before with Nosepass changing to Probopass, and Magnemite to Magnezone because of the magnetic flow of the continent in that area, and Eevee to Glaceon or Leafeon because he's headed to a icy rock or a moss rock, and there's other Pokemon to it. Oh yeah, there's Shellos and Shellos, one's pink, one's blue. They're both different things. Stuff like that. So it's not an idea they just came up with. So with that being said, the next Pokemon is Vulpix and Ninetales. As we know, they're fire type Pokemon, but eventually when the Vulpix and Ninetales reached the Alolan Islands, they wanted to avoid other Pokemon, so the only way they avoided the Pokemon, which is strange because all the islands, they really emphasize that the sun is in most highest intensity on these islands, that somehow Vulpix and Ninetales made it up to the Snowy Mountains and changed into ice types. So Vulpix is now an ice type, and Ninetales is also an ice type, but it is added that it has a fairy type as well, which really benefits it greatly. And of course there's snow foxes in real life. I say that and it sounds ridiculous now that I say it out loud, but it's really cool. I really like the fact, and it's one of my favorite Alolan forms right now. Like I was trying to say, Ninetales really shows a very mystical aura about it, that it's more mystical than before, because you know how they appreciate Ninetales in the past in the anime, and they really show how strong it is. This would definitely show in the anime how majestic it really is, and I approve. I really like this, and the fairy type just makes it better. It's probably, well, it's quad weak to steel. I just realized that they have quad weaknesses. That's great, but that is not the only ice type that's been introduced, or new ice types I should say. Sandshrew and Sandslash, the ground type Pokemon, has changed into ice types. I'm not really sure how the description goes on these Pokemon. I think they just wandered up to the Snowy Mountains for whatever reason, because there's no desert in Alola as far as I know. I mean, Pony Island kind of has a desert canyon, but somehow they got to the Snowy Mountains, and Sandshrew is an ice type. Or no, they're both ice steel types. I apologize, I do believe they're ice steel types. And I really like the design of Sandshrew. It has an igloo shell to it, and it can't really curl up into a ball anymore. It could only go in a what's the word, but like those little rocks where you slide them on the ice, and that's kind of a sport. I kind of don't remember the name of it. Hurling, oh god, I don't remember the name, but you know what I'm talking about. And as for Sandslash, electric, what the heck, ice steel type, where his slashing claws has a different shape to it, and of course his spikes in the back of his head is definitely pointed as further out as possible, with ice really close to metal. And sometimes Sandslash hides in the snow, so you'll just see ice crystals just standing up straight. So yeah, they're quad weak to fighting, so far so good. Everybody's weak to fighting, or weak to something quad. That sounds weird. The next Alolan form. As we know, normal type Meowth is a thing where he's been chasing Pikachu for the longest time with Jesse and James, and been using the move Payday. Really loves the moon. Looks at it every now and then and thinks about stuff about his past, and or thinks about the modern day, thinks about the present. But now he really truly changed into the dark type, and it really doesn't say how he turned into a dark type, it just describes Meowth. It says that he hanged out with the royal family, or a really rich family, and it got more spoiled than ever. But I feel like that's how Meowths usually are. They get money somehow no matter what they do, but this Meowth, the dark type Meowth, seems to be spoiled completely. And I don't know if it's related to the nighttime, but they do hang out in the nighttime the most, is what I know so far. And they do hang out in the urban areas, and yeah, that is Alolan Meowth. There's nothing much else to it. There probably is a description out there that really says how it became the Alolan form, but I find it strange because Meowth on many occasions has been looking at the moon, and not saying that of course when he looks at the moon a couple of times it doesn't mean he'll turn into a dark type or change anything really, but I just find it strange, you know. Even in the first movie, Meowth was looking at the moon thinking about thinking some really deep stuff, you know. The next Pokemon, Marowak, was just a ground type. Just like Execute to Executor, for some reason Execute does not have an Alolan form, and neither does Cubone in this case, but Marowak is just a ground type. It's kind of a mother Pokemon in a way. Cubone always has a very dark story to it. It wears the skull of his mother and then evolves into Marowak. But then Marowak in his Alolan form changes into a ghost fire type, which is really freaking cool. And I applaud Game Explain for guessing that correctly. The only thing they were off about is the ghost typing, but either way, they nailed it on the head. They predicted that Marowak would be a fire type because they did say that Kaiwi of the fire type Trial Captain, which I did mention on the last video, was gonna be partnered with the Marowak. I mean, besides the fact that you know, since he is the fire captain, that they would just guess that Marowak is not only a fire type but a fire twirler. They nailed that on the head. But he is a fire ghost type, which is very impressive. I really like that. I really hope there's gonna be a mega evolution to all these Pokemon. Marowak would be a amazing looking, I mean, a lot of people would say dragon, but he would look freaking cool. Like, imagine him like he'll look like Greymon pretty much, except much better. But he's another one of my favorites alongside Vulpix and Ninetales. The next Alolan Pokemon, if you remember, well, of course everybody remembers this Pokemon, Pikachu, Raichu. Well, maybe he's overlooked, but Raichu's just a Thunder type, but for whatever reason, and I find this strange, but I guess to be fair, he's not the only Pokemon that doesn't really change his type, but has an added type to it. Raichu is now a Thunder Psychic type, and I always get this mixed up because I think he's a Thunder Fairy type, which he's not, but he is Thunder Psychic type. He looks like Audino in a Raichu baby form. And yeah, Alolan Raichu. He has the ability Surge Surfer, and I haven't mentioned any of these abilities, but I kind of don't have them in front of me at the moment. I think Marowak has, like, for some reason I want to say Vital Spirit for some reason. I don't know why. But I know Raichu has Surge Surfer, which is a different ability. And for whatever reason, he doubles his speed whenever there's electric terrain on the field. And he also has a Z move, which is not Gigavolt Havoc. I could swear he had a Z move at least. I do believe he has his own exclusive Z move. Either way, that's pretty much all the new forms except for 2 more. This is it's kind of strange because, well, besides Vulpix and Sandshrew, Rattata and Raticate has Alolan forms as well. And like I mentioned before, with Raichu having electric type and just adding a type, Rattata still has his normal type, and I don't know if this is primary or not, but there's a good backstory to this. Let me just say it this way so it's more interesting for the long run. Not really the long run, I'm going to say this in 5 seconds. But Rattata and Yungoos has kind of a rivalry in Alola, and Yungoos, for whatever reason, is stronger than Rattata. So Rattatas are scared of Yungooses, and they go to their side of the island, and they have to go to more restricted urban areas. Because of this change and such like that, they adapted to their forms and they become dark normal types. So this is Alolan Rattata and Alolan Raticate. So I like Rattata, and I like his mustache, and I like the fact that he's kind of like a nocturnal thief. And, you know, it's kind of interesting because, you know, Yungoos, and I already mentioned Gumshoes, is kind of a detective. So, you know, the criminal versus the detective is kind of interesting. But Raticate is a Pokemon I just don't like anymore. He looks disgusting. Fun fact, my least favorite animal is the nuisance beaver, or whatever the heck it's called, with the orange teeth. And this is the closest thing enough, and I don't like this Pokemon. It's one of my least favorite Pokemon now, just because it reminds me of that. I mean, who knows, it might be a really phenomenal Pokemon, but as I mentioned before in the last video, the totem Pokemon so far that's been introduced, I'm gonna go do the order backwards for a reason. Wishy-Washy being one of the totem Pokemon or I guess one of the trial Pokemon, because he isn't part of the trial, with Lana, because she warns the character about this Pokemon, and the trial is calm this Pokemon down. What's her name? Lurantis? Lurantis is another trial Pokemon, or a totem Pokemon, I should say. Gumshoes is a totem Pokemon, and Alolan Eradicate is the other one. And I don't know if it's going to be exclusive through Pokemon Sun or Moon, or if it's like a daytime, nighttime thing, because no matter what, they do show the different times, which one that's day and that one's night. And, you know, just like Gumshoes, he has a strange aura about him, and he raises defense, and he is able to do an SOS call. That's what all totem Pokemon are able to do. And Eradicate has a lower speed and higher defense, I do believe. Also quad weak to fighting. Now, actually, I didn't cover about Meowth. He's just weak to fighting, and Bug. Marowak, I think, is now weak to Ghost, Ground, and Water, and Rock, and Dark. So, good times. What else? Raichu, he's weak to Dark and Ground and Ghost. I think that's about it. And yeah, most of the Pokemon with the Alolan forms has some type of quad weakness, which is kind of weird. But yeah, those are all the Alolan forms. Now the good things that I wanted to talk about, in the first video, but I am saving it for this part because it is very, very special. Some Pokemon that I didn't cover because of Team Aether, which I think, like I mentioned in the last episode, has this weird thing where it says that they really love Pokemon, they protect them and such like that. But at the same time, the meaning of Aether is purity and, like, you know, saying that they're above people amongst gods and stuff like that, and they make Pokemon and such like that. There's so many questions about that. And I feel like they're kind of gonna be the new team, because I feel like Faba would have something to do with it. Lusamine is, well, they say it's Glamour's president or something like that. I forget what it is. And it says there's like a president, like from a chief branch guy or whatever. I'm not sure, but he's in charge of something, pretty much. And they're covering something we don't know. And what's weird is that in that same trailer, Gladion was introduced as Team Skull's enforcer, and he doesn't really have Team Skull's uniform. He has his own unique look to it. And he has this Pokemon. The Pokemon's called Type Null. And that's not really, because I saw this and I'm all like, are they making a new type? What does Null mean? What weakness would it have, and this and that? What exactly is Type Null? I'm not really sure, because I thought they were just like introducing a Pokemon and saying this is going to be a new type. And I'm all like, I'm not sure what it is. It looks kind of like ancient relic type of Pokemon, but this is what Type Null is. And it says right here, he is a synthetic Pokemon with the ability battle armor. And it says this Pokemon is wearing a mask that has been dubbed Null, meaning nothing. The shapes of its front and hind legs are clearly different. The reason that its type Null was constructed to synthesize the strengths of various Pokemon, enabling it to adapt to any situations the mask fitted to type. Null's head is a piece of equipment designed to control its latent powers. It's extremely heavy, so it also serves to hinder Type Null's agility. To complete a certain mission, there was need of a Pokemon powerful enough to rival those Pokemon often spoken of mythology. Which is interesting because could that Pokemon in mythology be Arceus? Because the way the mask is structured, it has the same kind of like I said, the same structure as Arceus' ring. So I don't really know. I to be honest, I don't feel like it would stand a chance if it fight against Arceus, because we are talking about the god amongst Pokemon that took out Dialga, Giratina, and Palkia without breaking a single sweat. And he lost to like Silver Water, but that's besides the point. He he stands no chance, and I feel like he's not exactly legendary, especially since Gladion owns him. And why isn't, if Gladion owns him, why the heck is he not the leader of Team Skull if he was that powerful? He's a Chimera Pokemon, which is the thing I was talking about with the whole alchemy thing with Team Aether. And I'm gonna call it Team Aether because it sounds better. But it has some features, and I thought like it looks kind of like an evolution in a way. It kind of has like a Gyarados tail, and I don't really know what else to compare this Pokemon with, but it reminds me of Absol, and it's kind of in the ranks of an Absol as well, because it's not really Facito legendary. I feel like it's semi-Facito legendary amongst the ranks of Absol and Arcanine, where people think he's legendary, just like Lucario, you know, those type of Pokemon. So it's just normal type, and it's able to do all types of moves. As you can see, he could do Tri-Attack and such like that. But you face Gladion about it, and that's not the only Pokemon I have questions with, because that's why I thought Jangmo-O is his own Pokemon, because they're naming Pokemon differently, and I don't know if Jangmo-O was that on purpose. But Jangmo-O is different. I think he's actually a real Pokemon, unlike a synthetic Pokemon just like type Null. So I feel like Gladion from Team Skull has something to do with Team Aether. Maybe Team Aether would eventually turn on some trainers because they don't think they're being good parents or something like that. Who really knows? I'm not really sure. But there's other Pokemon, specifically Ultra Beasts, where there's some Pokemon, or even if they are Pokemon or not, I'm not really sure, but I feel like this is the closest thing to Synchro, and I'll bring this up in a little bit. But there's something called UBO1, which looks kind of like a jellyfish in a way, but it looks awfully weird if you just look at it from a certain angle, because if you just picture the outline, don't just picture like, oh, the dimension of it, because the front tentacles is different from the back tentacles, but picture it and look at the outline. It looks awfully like the outline of Lily, similar to her hat, her hair, her arms, and her legs. It has the same outline to it. And not only that, 2 other Ultra Beasts has been introduced recently, and at first it was UBO2 Beauty and UBO2 Expansion, but they changed the name in the trailer where it says UBO2 Beauty and UBO2 Absorption, and they're exclusive to Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. So UBO2 Beauty would only be in Pokemon Moon, and for some reason UBO2 Beauty looks awfully like Lusamine, which is the president of Team Aether, and UBO2 Expansion or Absorption or whatever you like to call them doesn't really look like a person per se, but I can't help but think that it has something to do with Gladion. I mean, he's not muscular or anything, but I feel like these Pokemon takes the traits of a human being. This is the closest thing to Synchro from Ash Greninja, but instead of like having a Pokemon that already exists, they just make a Pokemon but use human DNA. So UBO1 would have Lily, and UBO2, depending on what game you're getting, Pokemon Sun, might have Gladion in there, and Pokemon Moon version would have Lusamine. I don't really know why they have these changes, and who knows, maybe Gladion would not be UBO2 Absorption or Expansion, but it's very interesting nonetheless, because in the trailer right here, before I get to that, there's a portal where it comes out, and it looks like Lusamine looks a little sad, and they look surprised in a way. And after the trailer, because they kept skipping here and there, so I'm not really sure. And towards after, they did some dialogue. Hollow looks happy, mentioning something about Ultra Beast. So who knows? Because Lusamine was saying something before that skipped over, said poor thing to the Ultra Beast. So I don't know. It just came out of nowhere in the middle of Team Aether's artificial island, and it just appeared. I'm not really sure. It just appeared, I guess. It didn't really explain anything. It just skipped Because it was a trailer after all, so who really knows? And the thing I was gonna say, it was facing Tapu Koko and it had a trailer showing the differences between Sun and Moon at the same time, where UBO2, both Absorption, Expansion, and Beauty appeared in those similar portals, came out of it, and was about to fight against Tapu Koko, and Professor Hollis with them. And the weird thing is, Pokemon Moon, if you look at the bottom where he's fighting Tapu Koko, there's a bridge. For some reason though, in Pokemon Sun, there is no bridge. So I'm not really sure. So it feels like Team Aether is messing with some alchemy, some kind. And if you watch Full Metal Alchemist, you know that they made chimeras here and there. Like if you remember, there was a guy that's been worshipped in that show, made a perfect chimera, and then later into that episode, or not really later into that episode, but later into that series, someone tried to make a chimera. It really, I mean, they mentioned it more than a couple times, and there's a chimera Pokemon for type Null, so it feels like they're messing with something that they don't really are aware of, and they want to kill, not really kill, but wants to conquer legendary Pokemon. They want type Null to maybe defeat Arceus, which is not happening, but it seems like they want type Beauty to defeat Lunala, and they want UBO2, I think I said, did I say type Beauty or something? UBO2 Beauty to defeat Lunala, and UBO2 Absorption Expansion to defeat Soliogo. Or Solgaleo. I keep on saying Soliogo, but it's not Soliogo. I'm not really sure. I think UBO1 might be just a prototype. But they did say there's a lot more Ultra Beast. And they might be based on people. And I don't know about you, but there's a lot of similar looks to Lusamine and Gladion and Lily. And I don't know if that's a coincidence. Faba kind of looks like them too. So who knows? It might be closer related than you think. And they're all wearing white as well, so who knows? Other than that, that is everything. We covered all Alolan form Pokemon, and we covered the secrets of Team Aether and the Alolan form. I already said that. And the new Pokemon, the Ultra Beast and type Null. With that being said, the last part will be just covering the new features that I would put into the game, mostly about Pokemon moves, and I think that's about it, and some Pokemon that I would like to introduce that I wanted to talk about, and that's about it. Yeah, pretty much. And it'll be a shorter video, I promise. Other than that, you've been scarred by the night. Don't forget to subscribe. I almost forgot to mention that. Don't forget to press that like button. But yeah, if you are new, do subscribe. I do have a lot of video games and have some stuff planned in the future. I just don't do updates. I do so many other things. Trust me, if you like this video, you'll definitely like others ones as well. I play the video games, and if you like video games, you might like my stuff. That being said, you've been scarred by the night. I'm out.